Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around for that first half hour. So, Doc, did you want to button up Iran then? I was pretty much done.
No, I think we can go on to the next thing.
Okay. Well, so you and I kind of, as sometimes happens with us, we came at the same issue from, and not even from a political disagreement, we came at this at virtually the same issue at the same time, having read different things and on different from different angles, where I think I was texting you that I wanted to talk about Governor Branstad coming out hard against Ted Cruz, and about 5 seconds before I sent that text message, I got something for you saying we should go after, or we should talk about the Ted Cruz PAC going hard, or the Super PAC going hard after Governor Branstad. So why don't you because I didn't see that article or the ad that you sent to me until just a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Now, I want to, first of all, I want to apologize to our listeners for this cough that I have. We're staying at a very nice hotel. We happened to get jumped by a cockroach, so they came in and sprayed, so that little bit of poison is still hanging around in the air. So I just want to apologize for that. Second thing, the story about Cruz and Branstad goes way back. It's no question that Grassley's part of the establishment, even though he's a very staunch conservative. There's no question that Branstad is part of the establishment, even though he's not as conservative as Grassley. And they want an establishment candidate. Christie, Huckabee, Rubio, all of those would be considered establishment candidates. What they don't want is somebody that represents solid, hardcore Christian values. And the reason is, when you start talking about hardcore Christian values, like the value of life, the sanctity of life, the sanctity of marriage, apparently, according to the establishment, that scares voters away. So their last real chance is to get Rubio in there. And last week, Branstad gave a lecture and or an interview, and when he was asked directly, "Do you want Ted Cruz to lose?" Well, yes, and that's what brought the entire thing out in the open.
Well, I'll stop you there because this is what I was listening to. It was at the Renewable Energy Conference.
Yes,
and so Branstad, who never gets political like this, ever, he never comes out against other conservatives like this, came out and said it would be a mistake for Iowans to vote for Ted Cruz because he has been against renewable fuels and ethanol in Iowa for years and is financed primarily by big oil. And I was flabbergasted by those comments. I couldn't believe it.
Well, the thing is I'm not really surprised. If you know the governor as well as I do, he says what's on his mind, and he says what he wants going forward. Now, to risk his political capital to smack Cruz, yeah, I think that's probably a risk, but it's a calculated risk. I think he's going to win out on it. What really is surprising is within a day or two, Grassley comes out and says exactly the same thing. He's going after Cruz. Joni Ernst, I think she's trying to stay a little bit more neutral while trying to appease the establishment. But she's come out and said something similar. Now, if you look at Ted Cruz's voting record, he doesn't vote for subsidies. Doesn't matter who it is. And I went back and looked, and of course everybody takes money from oil. Everybody that oil's ubiquitous. But cast him in the light of he's only big oil when his voting record clearly has shown that he's against subsidies, I don't think really pans true. Now, saying you're against subsidies and the renewable fuel standard is suicide, I think, in Iowa. But, give Cruz his due. He's still doing well in Iowa after having said that.
Well, were you surprised that Cruz, and there's two ways to ask this question. There's two ways to answer this question. Were you surprised that a politician, Cruz being a politician, lumped a very popular Republican governor in Iowa, the First of the Nation caucus, in with folks who he calls the Washington cartel, and basically by, even though he didn't say Governor Branstad by name, put him in that collective when he was asked about Governor Branstad's comments, put him in that collective, and then said they're afraid because they rely on the gravy train. I don't think I have lots of disagreements with Governor Branstad. I'm not a huge supporter or fan of his whatsoever. We all know this. But I don't think that Governor Branstad has got his hand out the way that a lot of these other governors do to the quote or senators or legislators, quote unquote, Washington cartel. I mean, Doc, I was shocked a politician would say that, but I wasn't surprised at all that Ted Cruz said something like that. What do you think?
Well, Ted Cruz is he says what he says. I don't think it's a smart idea to lump the governor in there. I don't think it's a wise idea to go out and start picking a fight with him. But I think, I think he's got a point. If you're an establishment candidate, you're part of that cartel. Now, I can tell you that Iowa has done a fantastic job of being able to utilize the subsidies we get for green energy to be able to produce this energy, advance our research and development to the point where it's now feasible to do cellulosic technology. And I think that Cruz wants an even playing field between oil and green energy, and the only way really to do that is get rid of subsidies. Now, I don't think it's a smart idea on his end to take on Governor Branstad. And the truth is the super PAC that is launching the broadside is called Courageous Conservatives PAC, lumped together Branstad and Donald Trump as stooges of the powerful ethanol industry. And then later on, they're interviewing this Rick Shafton, a spokesman for Courageous Conservatives. Sometimes you've got to fight back, or this bully is going to say, "Oh, Ted Cruz has to be stopped," and that's it. Speaking, you have to respond. But then he goes on to say this. Terry Branstad is just assuming that because he's won a bunch of elections, that he can dictate the Republican caucus and that he's some kind of political boss. I got word for you, Mr. Shafton. Our governor is a political boss.
That's kind of what it means to be a political boss. He does win
elections. He crushes the opposition.
That is the most.
Here's Uncle Bob Vanderplots, well on his way to the nomination. They talked Branstad into running, and Vanderplots has a powerful vote caucus. He enters into the race. 2 months later, Vanderplots is shut down, out of the game, boom, done. And he crushes everybody in his way. And then he thought, well, hold on. The libertarians have hijacked my political machine in some of these counties. I'm going to crush them next.
He single-handedly wiped the floor with the libertarian revolution of the Republican Party. It was unbelievable.
We're up on a break.
Okay.
I want to thank all of our listeners. We're going to be back right after this break to talk more about how Governor Branstad is a boss, okay? That's all there is to it. We're going to be back right after this break. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital at DesMoinesInterestRates.com, and Des Moines Anesthesia PC. They have supported our show the longest. We're very grateful to them. Their number is 515-574-6442. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you missed the show, of course, you can always get on YouTube and see this. And follow us at docandlefty.com. We'll be back right after this break. We'll be talking more about Governor Branstad and Ted Cruz.